Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. My name is Gene Jake and today I'm ranking all the games from the Indie Heroes Collection Volume 1. Obviously this is the first collection and there's been, two more since and a fourth one on the way. I like these collections. I like they showcase sort of raw talent or amateur or hobbyist talent. Some ideas, you wouldn't find in a mainstream release, either from back in the day or from now. They're almost quite reminiscent of the home micro games, which were often made by teenagers in their bedrooms. This is a bit of a different case, but there are similarities. Yeah, I like these games. I like the randomness, the oddities, the quirks. Even if they're rough around the edges, they have a little bit of charm. Anyway, not everything can be a winner, so I'm going to rank these from worst to best, and let's get on with it. Right at the bottom we have Uchozen Ultimate Ploid Battle. It's sort of a shoot 'em up, barely. It's the worst game on the Evercade, but in its defence it was a game jam game that was made in 24 hours. It probably doesn't need to be on this collection. I guess it was like a bonus extra almost. Not really worth playing. You'll probably play it once out of curiosity and that'll be a lot. And next up we have Super Homebrew War, which is basically a multiplayer novelty game. It's Smash Brothers but with characters from other games on this collection. It's a fun little novelty. You can have a little bit of fun with it multiplayer, but there's just not much to it and you won't really come back to it much. Well, I didn't anyway. Next up is Ploid by Nape Games. This is a platformer for the NES. Nape also did Uchozen, which I've kind of skimmed over. This is a much more fully fledged game and unfortunately I still don't like it. There's a charm to the graphics, the sound is okay. I don't know, it's the level design, it's just fundamentally unengaging. I didn't find it interesting or exciting at all in the moment to moment gameplay and it was just an absolute chore to get through. Next up is Kubo 3 by SJ Games. It's an NES action platformer type thing where you control a cowboy turtle traveling around the globe doing whatever it is he's trying to beat, some mole king or something. Anyway, it's SJ Games, like I say, it's a parent-child development team and I think that's quite apparent in the design, but it gives it a distinct charm. It's a very short game and doesn't outstay its welcome. However, there's not much to it, which is why it's low down on the list. Next up we have Do the World for the NES. It's a platformer in the mould of Mario. It's developed by Nate Peters, which I think might be another parent-child collaboration. I'm not sure. Visually it's got a lovely style, looks like it's all drawn on a notepad. Enemies are office supplies. There's a lot of promise here. There's 5 worlds, there's bosses. Unfortunately it's very short and very easy. Again, on a collection like this it's not a huge issue. It's just almost, it left me wanting a better game. But as a first project or an early development project it is quite nice. Who knows, maybe Do the World 2 will be better. Next up we have Foxyland by PSCD Games. This is a platformer where you control a cute fox collecting cherries and that's pretty much it. The graphics are really nice. I mean the presentation and everything are all really good, to be fair. Can't fault on that respect. However, the gameplay lets it down. I mean it controls fine, but it really feels like a platformer by numbers type game and I found it remarkably unengaging and ultimately a chore to get through, which is a shame because everything else about it is so well done. And next up we have Chain Break by Tuxedo Games. This is a side-scrolling auto-runner for the Game Boy, as you can probably tell, and it's perfectly fine. Everything is perfectly serviceable on it, the game plays well enough. Unfortunately it's just not really my cup of tea. Again, absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think some people might rate this a bit higher, but again, perfectly good little game. And next up is Quest Arrest for the Game Boy. It's an RPG developed by the Retro Room where you control a detective going around town trying to clean up the streets. Combat unfolds in a fairly Pokemon kind of manner, and yeah, it's quite funny. Some, slightly more mature language, although I'd say the dialogue's quite immature. It's kind of funny. It's replayable. I think you go through a couple of times playing in different ways, good cop, bad cop, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's not a bad little RPG, nothing too complex or in depth, but it definitely adds a bit of diversity to the collection. Next up is Debtor for the Sega Mega Drive. It's a puzzle platformer by PSCD Games, and yeah, the graphics are quite nice, they've got a nice style to them, nothing special though. Again, same for the sound really, it's all pretty good. It's a nice little package. The gameplay is probably better here than if you're playing on original hardware due to save states, because it's easy to make a mistake on a level and have to restart, which will cost your life, so it'll get frustrating trying to get through the game without save states. Again, good. Not one you'll come back to once you've beaten it, but yeah, it's just a fun enough playthrough. Next up is Anguna Warriors of Virtue by Bite the Chili Productions. This is a top-down action adventure in the mould of Zelda for the Game Boy Advance. It's basically, we've got Zelda at home, but I think it's quite fun. It's a reasonable size overworld map, about 5 or 6 dungeons, different weapons and items you can get, reasonable number of monsters. It's not brilliant, it is definitely flawed. The actual combat or using a sword is not as effective as it might be, and getting the hits right can be a bit of a pain, but overall it's a fun little adventure. Next up is Twin Dragons for the NES. It's a platformer developed by Broke Studio. You control 2 dragons as they work their way through the levels on their way to defeat an evil sorcerer who stole the dragon eggs or something. It's a charming platformer and a reasonable sized game. I can imagine if this was released back in the day, it would be fairly fondly remembered, which is why it's quite near the top of the list here. Next up is Alien Cats 2 for the Mega Drive. This is a puzzle game developed by PSCD Games. You control an alien cat who's crash landed on a planet. In order to fix your ship, you need to go and do these various levels and retrieve the parts. However, there's various traps in the way. It starts off quite simple, however further in you start getting cloned. And on each level you have to get your cat and all its clones out of the level. However, they all move with the same control, which is where the puzzle element comes in. There's various traps in the way, cat dies, clone or not, and you fail. Like I said, it starts simple and it gets quite fiendishly difficult towards the end. It's a really good puzzle game, this one, with some fantastic music and charming, although simple graphics. And finally we have Flea by Low Tech Games. It's a puzzle platformer for the NES where obviously you control a flea as it works its way through a body getting blood. You have to avoid spikes and various enemies, and it starts out fairly straightforward, but gradually ramps up in difficulty and becomes quite a substantial challenge. I think there's about 100 levels, maybe a bit more. The graphics are nice, a little bit simplistic, but they have a lot of real charm to them. The presentation is very good with these cutscenes which are quite humorous, and the music really suits it and enhances the mood. It's a really good game, and best on the collection. So overall, I'd say Indie Heroes Collection 1 is a mixed bag in terms of quality, but it is very varied and there is a decent number of fun games. Obviously your mileage may vary and you might have different opinions to me on many of these games. Really, there's only a few games that are little more than a curiosity, so I think there's enough to offer for most people. So as a rating, I'd give it 7.5 out of 10.
Shadows creep, a boy's nightmare, secrets deep. 11 days to find the truth. In the darkness lies the proof. Deus, whispers in the night. A dark god's call, a chilling fright. In pixel dreams where horrors bloom. Deus, face your doom. Cryptic signs in the corners, evil vines, choice doom. Twisted fate, in the shadows lies a wait. Will you save or will you fall? In Dedius, you heed the call. Dedius, Dedius, whispers in